Welcome to the Red Dice Diaries, and in this RPG Bugbears video I'm going to be talking about dilemmas that I just don't have a good answer for. Okay, so I've been thinking about this a fair bit recently and grappling with it, but it occurred to me that, hey, there's at least a couple of thousand people sub to my channel and others that I interact with on a regular basis online, so why not get some other opinions and spread the love about a bit, so to speak. Now, I'm a fairly regular guy. I'm married, I live in a small house in England. I have a 9-to-5 job that just about supports the two of us. I also love my RPGs, and I always have ever since I picked up a copy of the Hogshead version of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and later on the Old World of Darkness, or Core Chronicles, or whatever the hell they're calling it now. Now, I've always done more GMing than playing since I started RPGs, and that's fine. I struggled along with the same small group of people in the little town where I live, before eventually discovering online role-playing and getting involved in that. But occasionally, role-playing throws up dilemmas or queries that I just plain don't have a good answer for. And I don't mean bigger issues like world politics and stuff like that. Whilst I've got an opinion on a lot of that stuff, this is a role-playing channel and I want to keep it that way. I mean issues related to role-playing. The issue I want to talk about in this video is that old issue about whether it's better to learn multiple and new systems or just find one that you like and stick with that. Now, wait, before you stifle a yawn and you flip to another video, I'm not going to tell you there's one super system for all contingencies or that you should attempt to master every system going. I'm not some old grognard shaking his walking stick at you whilst trying not to choke on his last word as original. If you like multiple systems, crack on. If you just like D&D or Shadowrun or GURPS or whatever, crack on. Job's a good one. For me, the question is more about, do I run better games when I run a system that I'm more familiar with? And does the novelty of a new system make up for maybe a slightly shakier game? So let me explain and clarify that. To say I don't have the best memory in the world is a dramatic understatement. Hell, chuck it up to the medication that I have to stay on, or one too many epileptic fits in the past, if you like. But whatever the case, my memory is nowhere near as sharp as it used to be, and it takes me a little bit longer to learn new things. I compensate for this in my everyday life by taking notes and by repetition. If I need to learn a process at work, then I write step-by-step notes. I revise them and I repeat them until I have the process down pat. It's not something I enjoy doing, but it's necessary for me to continue making a living and supporting my family. Now, you can see this in the video I make. I've had a few people say that, oh, they can see that I'm obviously reading notes. Well, yes, I am, and I don't mind saying that. I've got a little notepad window just here that you guys can't see, which I've written the notes for this video, although I'm going a bit off-piste now. I've written the notes for this video, and I look at them to refresh my memory. Like I say, I've not got a great memory, and I do the same when I'm running games. I write down notes to aid my memory so that I can portray games and campaign worlds and NPCs and stuff like that with some degree of consistency. Now, if I go a little off topic, like this bit I'm doing now, which isn't on the notes, that's fine because I've normally worked it through in my head. I know what I want to say, and I can just get on with that. However, you'll notice there'll probably be a few more edits in this bit because I'll have paused a little bit, I'll have and ahed a little bit more, which I don't tend to do when I have the notes. When it comes to role-playing, I pretty much do the same as I've said, but it didn't used to be an issue when I was a student and I was running games pretty much every night. Whatever system I was playing or that I was GMing, I'd run it so many times that I'd have all the basics down in a week, and after a few weeks I wouldn't really need my notes. As I've got older though, you spend more time working and doing tedious but necessary things that you have to do in life. I've maybe got the time to run a game every couple of weeks and maybe play in one if I'm lucky, once I've taken into account planning and prep time, not even thinking about technical problems and stuff like that. Now, without as much time to spend learning a new system, it takes me a lot longer to do so. Now, this came to mind when a friend of mine recently mentioned that the version of the Star Wars FFG game that I run is perhaps a lot simpler than the one you get if you've strictly followed the rules as written version from the book. Now, my friend didn't mean any insult by this, he was just commenting, which is absolutely fine. But it got me thinking, and it made me go back and actually have a look through my Star Wars FFG book. Well, one of them anyway. And you can see that here, it's my copy of the Edge of the Empire core book. And as I was looking through it, I think Yeah, do you know what? He's absolutely right. There are great swathes of stuff in the rulebook, like some of the ridiculously overcomplications of space combat that I don't use, either because I think that they don't add to the game or because they seem overly complex. And it got me wondering whether part of the reason I think they're overly complex is because mentally I'm working out the time it would take me to 100% learn those rules to a degree that I'm comfortable with, and rejecting it as just a plain old waste of my time. Now, take Shadowrun for instance. It's not a game I'm particularly fond of because the character creation can take a little bit longer than I wanted to. In fact, it can take a lot longer than I'd like it to. And in some part of my mind, I think I'm mentally ticking off the ways I could have been better spending that time. How I could have been playing in that time using a less complex system. And I seldom find that the extra complexity provides sufficiently increased enjoyment to justify the additional time spent. Might sound a little bit mercenary, but there you go. I was also thinking this whilst I was reading through the new Conan game from Modifius. There's my copy there, just got it recently, which seems like a reasonable game, although I've not finished reading it yet, and I've certainly enjoyed the games that Lloyd ran for us. If you like Conan or Sword and Sorcery, you might want to check it out. It's a game I know I've enjoyed. However, reading through the rules, I couldn't help but think that if I ran a single game of this system every couple of weeks, it would take me absolutely ages to master the system. Either that, or I'd end up just using the core mechanic, like I have done for FFG Star Wars, and just ignoring the additional complexities of the system. Now, I'm not saying that I'll never run this system, or that I dislike it. Far from it. In fact, I'm really enjoying reading this book at the minute. However, I do have to wonder whether the additional time spent mastering the rule system, the mistakes that I'll make along the way, the time I'll spend beating myself up about those mistakes, or frantically trying to cobble together cheat sheets and notes, wouldn't actually be better spent preparing for telling a really interesting story. Like I said, it's a dilemma I don't really have an answer for. Now, I've often wondered in the past whether I should dedicate myself to a particular system. I know a lot of people on YouTube and the internet see me as a Fate guy, and I have to admit that Fate stands besides Powered by the Apocalypse as one of my all-time favourite systems. They're both simple to master, the mechanics both mostly cleave to a strong core mechanic, making it very easy to master, but still allowing enough versatility to run numerous different kinds of games. I'd love to be one of those people who can just pick up a system, read it a few times, and just sort of really get it, you know. I really would. I admire people who can do that. Unfortunately, I'm not, and mercenary as it sounds, with less and less free time, I have to consider what will give me the most return for the time invested. Whether that means focusing my YouTube channel and blog more on a single system in the future, it could mean something entirely different, or nothing at all. I'm not sure at this stage. Like I say, it's a dilemma that I don't really have a good answer for. But I tell you what I do like. I like reasonable discussions with people who have an interest in this great hobby of ours. So, what do you guys out there on the internet think? Should I focus on a single system? Do you love multiple systems? How do you go about learning new systems? I think it'd be really interesting to find out what people think about this without people just going, oh no, I stick to the one true system, in some sort of monotone repetition, or people going, oh hell no, that's entirely wrong, you should have a million different systems. I'm not looking for people to say what's right or wrong. I'm just saying let's have a discussion about it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hopefully if you've enjoyed this video, you'll consider clicking on like and you'll subscribe to this channel. Until I see you next time, take care and happy gaming, whatever you're playing. Take care.